Hey guys, welcome back to Not Only Carrots. I'm Leah and today I'll be cooking for you gluten-free vegan sausages. Alright, let's get started. Alright guys, I have had so many requests from you for gluten-free vegan sausages and finally I am going to give you a recipe that I actually have really enjoyed figuring out, and I actually really enjoy eating it as well. Now my family's not actually gluten-free, but I do have a number of gluten-free friends, and one thing I have noticed when I've seen different recipes, for instance, that they have cooked, is that the protein levels are often quite low, particularly in rice and other gluten substitutes. So I wanted to make sure that this recipe not only looked like a sausage and tasted at least as close to a sausage as I could get it, but that it was going to be hitting a really good protein level. And I also wanted it to hit a really good iron level as well. So later on in the show, I'll be sharing with you a really interesting comparison between a standard thin beef sausage and my gluten-free vegan sausages. All right, to start off with, let's get our mince going. So we're gonna take some wheat-free rolled oats, 1 cup of those, along with a half a cup of ground walnuts. You can grind walnuts in a blender, just pulse them until they're nice and fine if you can't find them ground at the shops. And we're going to add in a half a medium onion, just diced, and 1.5 teaspoons of mixed herbs. And then we're going to add some boiling water, 1.25 cups of that. And I've created a mixture here with 3 tablespoons of gluten-free soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of rice bran oil. That is just a neutral flavored oil. It goes really well in recipes where you don't want that oil to stand out as a dominant flavor. Plus we're going to add in a half a teaspoon of garlic. You can use fresh garlic if you've got it, but I've just got the store-bought garlic today. But I'm just going the cheat way today and using jarred garlic from the shops, from the store. Now just stir that together and make sure everything is combined. And then the great thing about this is we just set that aside now and we don't need to worry about it until it all soaks up all that goodness. We are going to now create our tofu and we're going to crumble this tofu up and it will be added to our oat mixture once it's soaked up all of the liquid. So we're going to take a cup of crumbled tofu, which is about 150 grams. I'll show you how I crumble it. I crumbled it a little bit earlier, but I just press it between my fingers and you don't want it to be like super like squishy. It's okay to leave, some little chunks in there. And what it does is it adds kind of a mincy texture to our sausage. And every now and then you're like, oh, I think I just had a bit of mince there, which is nice. We're going to add some flavors to that. So I've already pre-mixed my flavors, but I'll talk you through that while I finish squishing this tofu. We have 3/4 teaspoon of gluten-free soy sauce, half a tablespoon of tomato paste. What else is in there? We've got a teaspoon of onion powder, half teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of cumin or cumin. I know some people say cumin. Oh, it's also got some peanut butter in it. It's got a half a tablespoon of smooth peanut paste or peanut butter. And I'm just going to take that mixture now and add that to our tofu. And you get to get your fingers in there and we're going to squish it all around. We want every bit of tofu to be covered up. Ooh, it's sticking, sticky stuff, but it's going to give it a lovely meaty flavor. Do not leave out that cumin. It actually is one of the key things that helps to create that meatiness in the tofu. Make sure you really squish every little bit of tofu in there. All right, I'm going to go clean my fingers off and I will head right on back once the oats are ready. The water can take up to 20 minutes or so to absorb, so don't feel like it's a problem to have to wait. If you really want to, you can stick it on the stove and stir it and sort of heat it up a bit to try and evaporate the water quicker, but this is the method I've used, so I can't guarantee that method will make perfect sausages. But yeah, just be patient, it'll be fantastic. All right guys, time now to mix together our mince for our sausages. Our oats, as you can see, have absorbed most of that moisture, so it's still going to have a nice moistness about it, but it's not actually really super runny. We're going to stir in our tofu mixture. And you want to really work that well through the mixture. You could get your hands in there if you felt like it, but the wooden spoon does a pretty good job. Just make sure you don't have any lumps of tofu. You want it really well combined. And now as our binder, we are avoiding eggs, so we're going to use potato flour or potato starch if you're in the States. And that's just 1/4 cup of that. Ordinarily, if you're making a gluten sausage, gluten-based, we just use gluten flour, but obviously that's a no-no for celiacs or people who are gluten intolerant. There we go, just stir that through. I have tried with chia. I made it's a chia egg as well in one of my versions, and I just didn't find it held together as well. Plus the potato flour adds a little bit of a chew once it's cooked, which I liked. It add a bit more texture. All right, that's holding together well. Now we're going to turn these into sausages. So you're going to take 1/3 cup measurement, and I've got baking paper and alfoil or aluminum foil if you're in America. The baking paper is what we're going to use to shape initially our sausages and just to make sure it doesn't stick, because if you do put it straight into the alfoil, which I also tried in another version, it just sticks and it's a real pain. So just take 1/3 cup of your mixture, lay it out, make sure you leave a little bit of a gap just here facing you. And like our sushi, you want to go over the top and bring your sausage to about the size that you're wanting, the thickness. And then you're going to really gently pinch in the sides and then just roll it up. And then grab a piece of your alfoil, place your sausage on the alfoil, and as you're rolling, you're squeezing and pinching to try and avoid the sausage getting any longer, because the mixture is a little bit wet still, so we don't want to have, sausages this long. All right. Now this recipe will make 8 sausages plus a little baby one, which is kind of fun. I recommend making them about the thickness that I am now, as opposed to being too thick, because you want to make sure that they're not only cooking through, but they're getting a nice texture because they're cooking for quite a while in the oven. Now, some people don't necessarily like their sausages to be crispy on the outside when they come out of a standard oven. So if when you take the sausages out they're too crispy for your liking, then what you can do is leave them for a little while on the bench, cover them with a plate or with a tea towel, and the moisture as they cool down will actually help to soften the outside of the sausage a bit. I actually quite like the outside crisp, so it's really up to you and your preferences. All right, guys, so there are our sausages. We have 8 big ones and a little baby one. We're going to pop them now into the oven. I'm using an air fryer oven at the moment. It's been kind of fun to get used to a different oven. Just saves gas where I live. But we're going to pop that in for 25 minutes on 170 degrees on air fryer oven setting. If you're using a standard oven, it'll be 180 degrees for the first 25 minutes. And we will then take them out of the alfoil and cook them again for another 20 minutes on the same temperature. All right, I'm going to pop these in and we'll be right back to unravel them. Okay, everybody, time to get our sausages out of the oven, and I'll teach you how to unroll them. And then we'll put them in again for the second half of the baking. Be really careful because they are hot. Okay, really, really carefully sort of unroll, and you can kind of shake them out. If you unroll them and are too rough, they'll lose shape and they can flatten. So just unroll them gently. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we're just going to pop these back in the oven now for another 20 minutes on 170 for the air fryer oven, and 20 minutes if you are using a standard oven on 180 degrees. Okay, let's get these beautiful sausages out of the oven and see what we've got. Okay, so that's what we've ended up with. Let's lay them out on the plate so we can have a better look. You can see they hold together really well, which for me is quite important. This one I must have been a bit tough with it. See how it's kind of flattened out? So you've got to be really, really gentle as you lay them out so that they retain that nice round sausage shape. And there we have it. I'm going to show you what we do in Australia. If we go to Bunnings on the weekend, and that's a place like a hardware store where you can go and buy things for gardening or building a house or things like that, they often have what they call a sausage sizzles. That's what sausages. That's what Aussies will tend to have sausages with, is a sausage sizzle, or sometimes we used to call it sausage in a blanket when I was a kid. So basically, we'll just pick one of our sausages and pop it in a piece of bread. This is my homemade bread. And we'll get some nice fried onions on top there. I fried them with a little bit of rice bran oil and some rapadura, some sort of sugar in there, and a little bit of salt. And depending on which country you're from is going to depend on what you would like to put on top. In Australia, we tend to use tomato sauce, which is ketchup, or barbecue sauce, but I know that everyone in the States will say you can't put mustard with tomato, but I actually do enjoy having them both together. Blasphemy, I know, but today, just so you don't all freak out, I'll make it with tomato sauce. And we just pop a bit of that on there, and that is a sausage sizzle, or a sausage in a blanket. So anyway, I hope that you've really enjoyed this gluten-free vegan sausage recipe. I really enjoyed figuring it out for you guys. And just a little side note, make sure that you're using gluten-free bread, not my homemade bread. This bread is not gluten-free, but make sure you use gluten-free bread if you are gluten-free. And in the description, I'm going to leave the information comparing the sausage, this gluten-free sausage, with a standard beef sausage. The iron content is triple for the gluten-free sausage, and the protein content is almost identical. It's like 8.1 grams for the vegan sausage compared to 9. The calories about the same, and the great thing with the vegan one is there's no saturated fat and no cholesterol. So enjoy, and I'm going to just eat this now. See you next time, guys. Bye. And the end product, every now and then you go, ooh, I feel like I just got a bit of bite of a piece of mince there. I can't speak.